Greetings, heroes. Welcome back to our next session of Mythia. Our characters did perhaps the impossible last session. They defeated a guardian in its own lair, a guardian temple, which seems to be invisible to the Wishmasters, which Juniper is half one.
Thought I got to be a whole one now.
Whole one, yes. The characters had a devastating battle, but Isaac took momentary control of the creature, and in a spurt of genius, terrible insight, he threw it into hell, and the pit destroyed it, leaving it a heartless beast that came back as a shell and fell apart into ash. Then the characters were, of course, forced to ask themselves, if this is what happens when guardians die, why are there so many corpses left around the world? Let's go ahead and get started with another perspective.
Just leave that one there.
Seers, wizards, and sages all over Mythia were consulting as many tools as possible to unwind the extent of the damage and determine what to do next. From the adamantine throne of the Winter Child to the iron seat of Aragoth, courts wanted answers, needed answers about fate's breaking. A wave of strange occurrences were sweeping Mythia, and no one could completely ignore them. Citizens manifesting dangerous abilities or losing important powers. Infrastructure was being tested with extreme weather, wildlife attacks, or natural disasters. Reports became alarmingly long of odd activities or notable events. As of this moment, few of them would cause lasting damage, but who knew how long that would remain the case? Suddenly, the godmothers arrived on the scene with assurances and aid. Some chose to reveal themselves to those in power, while others flitted behind the scenes with relief and gentle nudges in the right direction. Heroes on the road found helpful guides, pointing them down the path towards a town struggling with monsters, or a mysterious medicine woman appeared at a moment of sickness or despair to offer a remedy. The battle was being waged all across Ignos, and was only able to be seen by those with the resources to watch. To the everyday citizens of Mythia, all this strangeness was mostly rumor, and perhaps the occasional odd occurrence, but nothing beyond the pale in a world of magic and fate. To most of them, the fact that Roland Tarkan and his fellow heroes were on the job to fix it was enough to put their minds at ease. That part of the speech that Queen Estrid had given had trickled down even to the smallest district towns of Ignos, and was all that most knew about the fated quest. The dangers of fate breaking was well beyond what most understood about the fate as a power, and the very idea that fate itself could become damaged was as ludicrous as saying that the ice surrounding Ignos was going to melt in the summer heat. So it was on a sunny, rainy day in late summer, where the sun struggled to shine out from behind the storm clouds, that many magical watchers, staring into their crystal balls and consulting arcane charts, became deeply alarmed, as a massive spike of energy suddenly flared within the Doom Ridge. In this new age of danger and uncertainty, it seemed to all watching that something new and particularly dangerous had just showed itself, and all who saw it despaired. We begin in a moment of great adrenaline. Isaac, your mind is slightly, I would say it's running faster than your body at the moment, like a computer that's been overclocked. You have found yourself touching the minds of some kind of hive network. As you touched the Guardian and took control of its inner workings, the systems were so complicated that you yourself were nearly overwhelmed by them, almost becoming machine-like yourself for a moment. Only with all of the engine in your chest dominated, which you had only just done earlier this day, were you able to accomplish the feat that you did. Now, you are trying to slow down both your heart rate, which hasn't beat this fast for years, and also this buzz of new information that's come into your mind, information that only a guardian should possess. Means of how to control this temple. And it is with great realization that you come to the understanding that just as you can appear to be both live and dead, apparently you can also appear to the Guardians as either the Puppet Master or Unit 76, the heart that you possess in your chest. And they can see you as a Guardian, just as they. Perhaps also their other technologies might recognize you in such a way if you figure out how to control that power. The rest of you find yourselves looking at the fallen Goliath, a titan of metal that has collapsed in the center of the room after returning from a rift from the pit. Its body has slammed down and a deafening, echoing crash has roiled through the room. Yes.
Is it obvious it came from the pit?
I would say that considering you just saw a rift to the pit open outside of this temple today, you can definitely tell that the rift that took it there was indeed to the pit.
Okay, if that's the case, June's face will go absolutely white as she realizes what you've done.
So, yes, you do in fact know that.
Yeah, right now she's just kind of in shock that you did that, and now she's like, oh god. Well, if there was one in this world,
So Juniper is obviously having a significant reaction. Would that be noticeable to everybody else, enough to draw their attention away from the beast?
Well, she's currently a pixie, and she's tiny, so...
You're hiding up on that cannon.
Yeah, she's on top of the cannon at the moment, so I don't know if they can see her face or not.
Okay. Yuffie, since you were facing the correct direction, you will see Red move over to the panel in the back of the room. And he is going to give I would say that it's like a, I hope it's dead view over towards the Guardian.
I'm sorry to ask one more question, but didn't you say that it disintegrated into dust?
Yes, and I would say it does so almost immediately.
Okay, I'm just checking.
So as Red gives that look, it will disintegrate.
Okay, thank you.
Yuffie will give kind of a, well, there's our answer, look response.
You will hear a tiny voice that says, Isaac, please tell me you didn't send that where I think you sent it. She lands and What's Red's reaction to a pixie, June, suddenly coming out? Or fairy,
Upward
sorry.
glance towards you, and then like he's messing with the panel.
Gotcha.
He appears to be pushing buttons at random.
She becomes full-sized. But she's looking at you, kind of like she knows you did it, but she's really hoping you didn't.
Red, get your attention, calls over.
June, I probably did what you think I did. And then Isaac's going to walk over and kind of like nudge Red out of the way and start like trying to work with the panel.
All right.
Isaac's going to be like, stop doing that. Let me give it a shot.
Red's going to kind of like, how are you any better at this than I am? Suddenly, as you go to access the panel, you have a way to access the panel that everybody else does not. However, you believe that it might be rather disturbing for you to do so. If you choose to, you can exit wires forth from your fingertips to interface with this panel and go through its systems.
Yes. Okay. I had already imagined doing exactly that as like a way of casting certain spells Isaac has because of the gem. So you read my mind. Well, that would be messed up. Yeah, Isaac's going to do that.
Okay.
It's probably going to be involuntary. Like they're going to pop out and he's going to be like, oh my God, what's happened?
So you all will see Isaac is going to look down and his eyes sort of narrow towards the computer, and Prongor is going to like shuffle over. You're standing behind him. June, do you come down from the top of the gun?
She already did. She's
I
already full-size
don't think
again.
Prongor's in here with us.
She landed next to him when she was asking the question.
You and Zarafen, I imagine, perhaps both with looks of perhaps horror and curiosity.
Currently horror is what is on June's face as she's imagining what's going to happen in the future.
All right, then it's at least horror on both Zarafen and Juniper as visible black, seeming like little tentacles exit forth from Isaac's hand and seem to insert themselves into the many like metallic holes in the computer panel.
Did your hands always do that? Yuffie asks with a sort of disturbed
By the
look
look on
on
his face, you can tell they absolutely never did. How does Isaac look at this moment as, like, it kind of hurts a little bit, and it doesn't feel pleasant as they sort of, like, wire their way around your bones and your fingers and then come out?
He's grimacing like a man who's really focusing on keeping his composure. So he doesn't look horrified, but he doesn't look happy about it.
Okay. Zarafen is going to approach Juniper, sort of behind your back now, the taller of the pair. He's going to say, have you ever seen anything like that?
No.
Isaac, you suddenly feel information. A direct link to the knowledge contained within this device comes to your awareness. I would say that if it had a feeling, it would be cold. And somehow completely lacking in any emotion whatsoever. It might leave you afterwards for a moment struggling to feel anything at all. As you connect, you gain a schematic, at least of what the computer seems to think this place looks like. And it looks much newer, without all this outer damage that you have seen. However, it has measured a breach where you guys blew the door open earlier in the day with your soundbite. And the alarm system and defensive have been activated. And the places that you were pushed to was called Defensive Zone 1. And the places that your friends were pushed to were called Destruction Zone 1 and 2.
Maybe you should fix that problem. Just saying. Not that we know about it, but I believe
Does Isaac feel like he can push any sort of communication from him into the device?
The device has no means of communication.
I mean, through the wires.
Oh, you seem to be able to control it as though you were pushing the correct buttons at all times with your thoughts.
Okay, Isaac first wants to... You said I explicitly heard that like the self-defense systems were activated. He wants to disable all of them.
Okay. There is one you cannot disable, and that is if any technology leaves this building, it will lock down and it will self-destruct. And like, it takes a long time. It takes like 2 hours for it to fully self-destruct, but...
The lockdown's right away, I'm assuming.
It will lock down immediately. So if you do take this panel out of here, whoever carries it needs to go last.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so
that's the entire reason we came here.
Isaac's going to do that, and then he's going to see if he can will it to just not only disable all security measures, but also like unlock and open all doors.
You all are suddenly going to see the plate that is preventing you from leaving is going to slide up into the ceiling. Isaac's eyes preempt the sliding up.
And then, is there any sort of monitoring system that he could tap into?
There was, but whatever they were, they seem to be destroyed.
Okay, probably old.
There are only 4 chambers in the whole place.
Okay.
And there appears to be a collapsed tunnel in way of one of them. So it was unused.
Can I tell what the name of that chamber was?
Yeah, it was shop.
Shop? Oh man, the shops. That would have been cool to look at. All right. All right, with that turned off and the doors unlocked, Isaac knows this isn't the time to like sit here and mess with this forever, even though he wants to. So he's gonna see if he can tell the panel to like disconnect from the wall.
What is happening here? Zarafen says to Isaac.
Yeah, I think a little bit of forewarning would be nice.
How are you controlling this?
Just everyone be quiet. This is not easy. I need to focus.
On what?
Not losing it because of what's happening with my hand.
All right, then perhaps I'll tell you what I think is happening, and you can confirm it with a nod or a shake. You seem to have connected to the technology
Yes.
in some way. He's going to look over. June, do you feel any warnings?
Do I?
You don't.
She shakes her head. It's very slight, but no.
There are 4 chambers in this place, and everyone else got sent to the other 2 rooms. The 4th one's shut off. I've unlocked the doors. I think we can just go look for them now. I hope they're still alive.
All right.
I think we need to hurry.
Are you guys coming? Red says he's like 90% of the way to the other door.
Yuffie starts running in that direction.
Isaac's gonna like
Roland would have been following Red.
pull his hand, and the wires are gonna go taut for a moment, and then I'm assuming he's able to make them retract.
Do you have inspiration?
I do not. He's gonna look kind of disgusted, like he's pulling his hand out of something gross that he doesn't want it to be there.
Yeah, you have the same look on Jude's face when she's looking at it. Weird.
All right. Red's going to like turn to you as you come up and go, oh, I was hoping you could grab the machine thing.
Was I able to disconnect it?
Yeah. We need that, right?
Yeah, I'm not touching that thing.
You're the strongest one in the group.
His hand was in it.
Now your hand's going to be in it.
Isaac, do I need to grab that thing?
Was I able to get it off the wall?
So it is about 4 foot tall, and it's about 3 feet wide.
It's like a
so
full
it probably
terminal.
weighs about 120 pounds.
Okay.
Like a really heavy TV.
Let's see. Is
It
Phalor...
also is attached to the floor.
It is.
Yeah.
Shit. I think I need you to help
He rolls
me.
his eyes and he runs
Help
back.
me find a way to get this thing off the ground.
All right, Zarafen is going to kneel down. He says, there appear to be these fasteners. He points at what are effectively 4 large screws that are screwed into the metal floor.
I'm going to say that flavorfully, Phalor has a finger that can be used like a screwdriver for situations like
Is
this.
Phalor with us?
He is. He has
Yes,
ascended.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
All right, Red is going to yell, you guys get that thing out. We'll check on the others. Which group do you go with?
Which one is Zarafen looking to stay with?
Zarafen is definitely going with the group going to check on everybody.
She'll probably...
Isaac's going to tell you to go with them if you don't, because they could potentially use your crazy magic to like save them if they're in a life and death situation.
She paused for a moment and she looked at you and then she decided to go that way.
All right.
She was measuring her distrust.
All right. It'll take you guys about 4 minutes with Phalor's aid. You are actually able to... There is a small panel in the wall that you gained in the schematics. And you're able to sort of hit on it and knock it open. And you find a tool that's like a big bar that's supposed to be used to get the screws out.
Okay.
And Roland is able to use that with his great strength to unhook the screws in the floor. But it does take a little bit because the things are really old.
This thing's not going to explode when we pull it out, is that?
No.
You sure?
No way.
Okay.
I would give you inspiration for unfounded confidence.
Oh god.
So, the rest of you rush, and you can either go right or left. Going straight would take you out of the ziggurat. And it appears as though you can see daylight or the lowering daylight ahead of you.
I guess we should divide and conquer since there are 2 rooms. So
Okay.
I'll go left.
All right. As you go left,
Yuffie will probably go left with you then, so that there's Zarfan and Red. Somebody who can heal.
okay, so you said you're going with Zarfan?
No, I'll go with whoever. I don't care.
She came with me because she likes me more.
This is true.
Zarfan and Red.
Zarfan, go with Red. Okay. All right. As you guys go in that direction, you travel down a metallic hallway, very similar to the one that you just exited out of, and find a box-style room that has several glass-look-like panels that are just completely black all around the room. Think of like a flat-screen TV hooked into the wall. They look sort of like that. And there is a bunch of ash on the floor from what appears to have been some kind of objects placed in sort of pedestals around the room. And you believe, by what you're looking at, is that Bali has touched several of them and they crumbled into ash when she did so.
Okay, good.
Um,
Just checking. I was checking to make sure that it wasn't actually Bali who got crumbled into ash.
What? Yes.
you're going to find Prongor, who was sort of like looking out the hallway nervously at you all as you came forward. And then as you get up towards him, he's going to say, "Oh, good. It's just you," he says. "Where's Master Isaac?"
He's back in the main room. Are you all alright?
What happened in here?
Nothing, really. We came in the room and then all of these things seemed to turn on, like they were looking at us. And then a bunch of scroll, like a moving scroll, went over their surfaces. And then it flashed red, and there was noises that we thought something terrible was going to happen. And then the floor opened, and there were tubes underneath. Like, once me and Isaac, and he goes on this like long rant about how they just basically made like a poison gas trap.
Euphemia just walks past to go over to Bali.
All right. So he describes that he basically thinks it was some kind of trap, but it didn't work.
Good boy.
And that they just kind of sat in the room until it opened just a minute ago, and they were thinking that like maybe you all had died and stuff was going to attack the room, and they didn't want to be caught in the hallway, so they were waiting for somebody to come.
She was going to ask if they smelled anything odd. Just in case there you got poisoned and we don't know it.
Bali and Hero is also in this room. Hero's going to... I can't really... No, there wasn't any... I mean, it smells like metal in here.
Can I do a heal check? Or a medicine check, rather?
Yeah, but they seem completely unharmed.
Okay.
Bali's going to...
Makes me feel better.
State quietly to Yuffie. I haven't been able to really find what this room is for, she says.
I know, it's for.
Well,
I didn't tell anyone the name of the room for a reason.
everything in here looks like it was created to maybe take care of people who came in unwanted. I can think of some reasons for why this room is here.
She says, everything seems to turn to ash when I touch it. I think it's all, I don't know, maybe as old as Juniper is.
Is anything that old?
That was a great descriptor. I love that.
June,
Give me a second.
are you rolling perception?
Yes, I am.
Are your ears burning right now?
I hope she hears it.
You burn.
18. Did I hear it?
You do overhear something about your name.
You see her glance in your all's direction when you say that.
They both smile, and it's completely unbelievable. Just kind of like,
She will
June,
raise an
there's a
eyebrow.
thing over here that you might want to look at, she says.
She walks over. What is it?
She says, everything else kind of looked like it was made of metal, like it was part of the building. Those are the things I touched. she says, sort of pointing at the ash heaps on the floor. There's a couple of other like weird looking artifacts in the room, sort of like a glass-like orb that almost, if you squinted really hard, could look like the ultimate magnifier. And then there is a rod that sort of has like a umbrella head on it. That's like a flat umbrella head. Looks like some kind of tool, maybe. And then she's going to point over in the corner where there's a bunch of... They look like little cages that you might maybe like put a pet in or something. Like they have like a little shield of glass in front of them. And then there's just a little box inside of the wall. And what's your passive investigation?
19.
Okay. Well, with your passive investigation, you think you're able to tell that this room might be for destroying objects, like pieces of things that are found. Because as you look in, a bunch of these have like a burn mark on the bottom, like they get really hot inside. And there is an item inside one of them, and you can see why Bali was scared to touch it. It looks obviously magical. It sort of riddles with like blue arc lightning energy inside of the little box. And it seems to be like forming almost blue electric rainbows across its surface.
I get out my magnifier, and I will use inspection.
As soon as you fall eyes upon the item, you need not figure out what it is. You know what it is, in fact. It was a rod, scaled item, like a wand, a bit. And you once saw it on snow many, many, many years ago.
Oh no, I don't like that. Yeah, she will gasp and reach for it and then pull her hand back and try to figure out if she can touch it without hurting anything.
What's wrong?
It was my friend's.
What?
She's going to try and open it.
It is important to note that though you saw this item basically on the belt of the Wishmaster, they never pulled them. It made you think that they might have been some kind of weapons, and you never met them when they were in danger. You believe that this item, you don't think it's going to hurt you if you touch it.
I thought it was inside of a box.
Yes, it is.
Closed.
It is, yes. You can kind of pull open the glass.
Oh, okay. She's going to do it.
All right. As you open it up, you all will hear it's almost like an electric noise coming from the rod, and it sounds like it might be...
I was expecting the room to fry us.
You would expect that it would give you some kind of shock or be painful to touch. But as soon as Juniper's hand nears the item, the arcs seem to shrink in accordance with how close her hand gets towards it. And as she goes to touch it for real, the item's dangerous-looking aura seems to fade entirely. And you are able to grab it if you wish.
She does so.
As soon as you grab the item, you feel an instant kinship with this weapon. And know that this must be somehow innately bonded to the Wishmasters.
Do I feel any connection to snow?
You don't think the weapon has like a knowledge of who its master was. It doesn't appear to be intelligent or possess consciousness. But you would say that it seems that you understand it, as though you had trained on it for a great deal of time. As you hold, so it's a rod about maybe that big, and it starts almost like a snake's rattle and then it turns into like scales that you can fit your fingers between. And the scales are not of this world. You've never seen a creature with scales like this. They're sort of a tan, almost armadillo-like texture to them. And then they kind of go up into almost spines on the top. And then there's a head like a great eye with a gem inside of it. And as you hold on to it, you have an innate sense that if you were to throw the item with force outwards, you would see its true form.
I'm not going to do that in here, considering I know what he was and I know where we are, so I'll wait.
Okay. Juniper! You hear, yelled with some manner of alarm. Also, you guys will hear it, and you have just finished.
June will take off in that direction.
All right. So, Roland, you have lifted this. It's like the size of a mini fridge, but it's the weight of like a large TV. And you have picked it up off the ground. And Isaac, there were a couple of stray wires underneath. And Phalor's fingers acted like scissors to cut these in the right direction to where the panel can be reused. So you now have this thing disconnected from the ground when you all hear Zarfen's yell. Do you have inspiration?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, June is booking it. Like, flat out running, which she doesn't do often.
Okay. Are you all attracted to the noise?
Isaac and Phalor will take off in that direction.
Isaac and Phalor will?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be there in a second. He's like trying to figure out how to like get it on his shoulder so that it won't have to like hold it like as much in front of his body and just fuck up his back. So he's trying to figure out the smartest way to carry this thing without sacrificing speed and his ability to just drop it and run if he needs to.
I gotcha. As you move in the direction of Zarfen, you will find the group seemingly unharmed of the others that were with your party. Jania, Walks No Roads, Shadow, are all with this group. And Zarfen looks as though he has seen a ghost. He goes, Juniper, you're not going to believe this.
What? You alright?
It's Rosaith.
Okay, if that's the case, then June will gasp, her eyes will widen, and she goes, "Are you serious?"
He says, you have just come. He says, seemingly out of words for the first time in the last century.
She keeps running.
All right. Isaac, you come in earshot just in time to hear the words Rosaith. Please roll a Arcana check, DC 17, and a History check, DC 17. If you succeed both, you know what that is.
Succeeded the Arcana. Failed the History.
You feel like at one point you've seen that name during your clerical studies, but you can't remember what it is.
Okay. Do I get close enough to see the people who were sent to that chamber? Am I close enough to do a head count?
Everybody is accounted for.
Okay. Isaac does like a quick visual head count, and then he just turns around and goes back to help with the panel.
Daddy, you got it? Walk says towards you.
Roland has it. Do you want to come help us?
I've got you, Jania says as she comes up to kind of take the other side of the panel from you.
Johnny is the one who's like super strong, right?
Don't worry about this, master. I've got it.
Super strong.
Okay.
Prongor says as he's going to kind of like... And he comes up and... why don't you just hand that on for Roland? You're going to be needed in case there's other troubles.
I got it, man. You're carrying enough.
He says, well, Master Isaac is giving me this great arm. I don't even feel the weight.
He has a point, Roland. We could use you available if something spooky jumps out of the shadows.
And whatever that is, you may wish to be prepared for it. He says as they rush off in that direction, looking a little unknowing.
They looked excited.
Yeah.
Uh-oh, you better definitely give it to him.
He's gonna give it to him, but one of the reasons Roland wanted it was in case anything gets mad at us for taking it, it'll be mad at him for taking it, rather than putting that off on
Somebody else.
somebody else, especially.
Okay.
So,
So, do you fight him on it? If so, roll a
No,
persuasion or intimidate check.
no, he gives it to him, but he's just gonna stay near him now.
You're behind. June and Rafe, Yuffie, you guys are in the front rushing towards this other room. It looks exactly the same as the room that you just left, except in the corner, sort of almost webbed, it looks like a black inky spider web, but it seems rather made out of webbing to be made out of frozen onyx that is covered in frost. And woven in the middle like a little spider sitting inside this web is a bell. It is dented pretty heftily, and it has on top a little corkscrew of metal that is wound through the little tip of the bell to hold it. And there's a little area to like grab it with your thumb to ring it. And it is frozen in between 1,000 little ribbons of ink.
Can we touch it? She asks.
I think it's time to go.
Zarfan is going to turn towards you and say, this item, they've been missing from the world for as long as I can remember.
I've been looking for this forever.
You may re-roll with advantage.
June is super psyched.
When we were handing off the panel, Isaac would have quickly explained to you and to Prongor and everyone else that the panel could not leave the building, and he would say why. I just wanted to make sure that happened.
Okay.
Good to know.
Succeeded the Arcana and failed the History, just barely.
History is your bane.
I was waiting for you to tell us that also, and I was hoping you would.
Drawn
Me too.
towards the
Guys, I'm
item,
gonna walk right
seemingly by the sheer force of discovery.
Just
You see-
think. Princess Aurora reaching towards the spindle. She wants it.
The item
Sounds so
absolutely
beautiful.
looks menacing, woven as it is in this black web. But Zarfan and Juniper both move inexorably towards it.
Do I think that it'll be okay to remove it from this web? Do I think that that's sort of something that's just holding it in place, or do I
The
think it'll
web
attack
does not
me?
look like it is part of the structure of this building at
Yeah.
all. It almost looks like a parasite on the building.
Hmm.
Are there any other like openings in this room?
There's those glass boxes, but they don't contain anything.
I'm probably gonna regret this. Grab.
As Juniper grabs the
Sarah
head
said
of
that,
the
by the
bell, it does not ring. You don't even hear a noise. Rather, the little filaments holding it together simply fall apart. And the entirety of the black glass is going to fall into the air and breeze away as quiet as if it hadn't done anything at all. The bell does not ring when she takes it into her hand. Zarfan is going to look with awe down towards it. I can't believe it, he says.
I know.
Yuffie, you're close enough to see what the bell looks like. You can show her.
Oh wow, it just looks kind of like a normal bell.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show you guys.
It is covered in frost.
Can anyone touch that?
Huh? Yeah.
I don't
Although
know if
it-
we should ring it.
Oh, we shouldn't right now.
Why? What happens if we ring it?
The auctioneer will come.
Huh?
Stories of the bells say that there were 3 of them made near the beginning of time.
One was supposedly destroyed, and the rest... One is thought to have been taken by salt. Of course, that'll be unconfirmed forever. And then the other one was lost. Looks like we found it.
It says if you bring the bell 3 times, an otherworldly auctioneer should arrive, willing to barter for anything in existence.
Again, I think we should probably get out of here, but I
Let's
never
just say
thought we'd
that-
see this.
People have dedicated their entire lives to searching for this bell and never found it.
So what in the pit is it doing in here?
Can we please leave?
I agree. Let's get out of here first. There's something we need to discuss, considering the Guardian's final location. But let's get out of here first. Do you
All
think
right.
there's going to be any problem leaving?
Yes, I do. And then Isaac tells you what he told everyone else before you ran off. Was there anything else in the schematic that like really jumped out at me that Isaac would have?
I would say no.
Okay. Yeah, so Isaac tells you the situation, and he says, I suggest we get everybody out of here except for one, and then we figure out how to get that one person and this thing out the door before it shuts.
You said technology. Did you mean like anything that was inside the building, or just like their tech? Because I'm currently holding 2 things.
It's something that is part of them.
Anything that was part of the temple.
It destructs when we leave.
Those artifacts you found are not of Guardian make. I don't think they would count.
Yeah, they're definitely not.
So how do we get the tablet to where it needs to go?
Isaac's gonna like kick the thing and then turn around and put his hand on his forehead looking frustrated.
She touches it and shrinks it. It only lasts for a minute, but we can at least get it out of here quickly.
Isaac's gonna look around and tell everyone to get out the door.
Let's go.
All right, Prongor is going to start as the object shrinks. He goes, well, why didn't you do that sooner? He says.
Because I wasn't with you.
Now the question is, that door, I'd imagine, is going to shut as quickly as the doors that trapped us in those rooms. Who can carry this in their pocket and get out fast enough to get through that?
Me. Although I don't have pockets.
He's right. He's the fastest. I know. Nancy's snores are cute.
Now I'm smiling at like...
Oh.
Old Isaac would have been like, all right, go for it, but new Isaac kind of cares about Walks a little bit, and this is like potentially putting Walks in trouble. Or like in danger's way, so he's...
Here you go, bird. Prongor says, here, take this pouch. He's going to kind of shove it in a pouch and like tie it around his waist. And Walks is going to go, okay.
All right.
All right. The moment the last one of us is out, I want you to run for it.
As you all wait at the very entrance, just inside,
Isaac's
know
gonna
that
do another head count. Like, is
good
everyone
call.
here?
Okay.
Is Red here? As she
We
looks
remember
toward-
that Red would be here.
So everybody's here.
Okay.
You see Walks about 20 feet that way. You're almost to the exit. Walks is going to flicker and appear right next to you guys and probably 8 feet behind all of you. A big door is going to shut. You've all successfully made it with ease.
All right.
Okay.
You are
God,
going-
when you were saying that for a second, I thought you meant it shut before we even got to the exit.
That's what I was hearing too. I was like,
All it took was somehow having a messenger just like in the party.
see, I was just picturing the messenger that Walks having just like, okay, so you mean, but I go out first, right?
Yeah.
I was expecting him to put the bag on him and he would immediately just run out the door. So let's be like, great.
Baby Groot.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. Yeah.
As you all walk to the exit of the temple and come out into a coming twilight, into the horizons of the Doom Ridge up ahead of you, you all are going to stop in your tracks. Orega is in front of you. You can see his head and shoulders now that you've come out. And before now, he was blocking a view of an enemy force that is standing arrayed before you. Out in the field where Satan's hand was standing previously, you now see instead, the first thing you will see is a pit fiend
Damn it, I didn't get to warn you guys beforehand.
standing out in the middle of the field. With that pit fiend, the devil warriors that you saw when you were engaged with Dambleth in double the numbers.
That'd be fun.
Is that Pit Fiend model new?
It is. I bought it for this combat.
It's really cool.
You saw it. That's fair. That's fair.
And then, within their midst, is Satan.
What?
Not that you guys would recognize him.
There is a pale white devil.
Yeah, June is no color.
You see Orega has his shield placed down in front, as he did when he was confronted with you all, forming a great wall with the huge door. As you all step to the exit, he's going to look back towards you with his shaggy orange hair flying about in the breeze. He says, "Watch yourselves. These bastards have already threatened me."
Hand that to Daniel.
Out of curiosity, Julian, which spells did you prepare?
I'll show you.
Please, please, please let you have one.
I'm still exhausted.
But I think the
Thank God. Okay.
you're one level exhausted though now, right? You're not
Which one
two
were you
levels,
looking for?
Just one.
Level 4. I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Let's see. Isaac, you know who this is. You know what all of these are. Juniper, you know what all of these are.
Yeah, her hand just went down and is holding Rafe's right now.
Yuffie, and you may roll a religion check, Roland.
He's so tired.
Wait, which one's Satan?
The
Yeah, I rolled a very good roll.
one with
What
the
was it?
yellow sword.
23.
Okay.
Okay. You wouldn't say you're 100% positive who that is, but you've never ever heard of a white devil before. And that's what they all say he looks like. He looks like a white devil. Though, you have for most of your life heard many people around you curse about how ugly Satan is. Satan's knobby knees, Satan's sunken chest, beady eyes. And the person that you see before you is not at all ugly. In fact, you would say quite the opposite. It is, in fact, an extremely handsome figure. If he were a tiefling and did not possess certain monstrous aspects. While the wings are angelic, the fingers are clawed. The face is... Honestly, you would say he maybe looks like a younger Harper, if you said anything. He's got a very...
It's way prettier than Harper.
Well, yeah, you're probably correct.
Mm-hmm.
What about a younger Red? An unscarred Red?
No, he doesn't look anything like Red.
Not as pretty.
Think of a handsome person, a handsome man, like a movie star.
I was like, maybe it's kind of like Geralt from Witcher,
Yeah, that's
but
pretty
like
close.
the younger Geralt.
Yeah, I would say you're
Okay.
fairly close with Geralt.
Okay.
Was
Is
it
he
Henry
coiffed?
Cavill?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Isaac, you look on the progenitor of your race. This man made tieflings. He, in fact, made all devils. Your ancestor climbed out of a pit to escape from this man. And June, I don't think I need any descriptions of how your relationship might be complicated with this figure.
We're good. I'm good.
Either way, those of you who aren't sure who this is can tell by the look of stricken terror on Zarafen's face that whoever this group is, they are not to be trifled with or thought of as a mere roadblock in your path. In fact, they may be quite lethal. Zarafen is going to fly down to where he is on the battlefield here. Well,
Is he taking June with him? Because she's holding on to him right now.
do you descend?
Yeah.
If you are going to, place your character where they will begin. If there is a fight to start immediately.
Oh, God. She wants to try and talk it out first, if it's possible.
I don't know where Roland is right now. Oh, there he is.
It's going to take a long time for the halflings to make it down all those steps. You realize that, right?
I need
probably gonna
reactions
die.
from the party.
Is he right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
AMC flew out ahead.
She's gonna try and talk it out. Because if we try to fight this out, we're all gonna die.
Uh-huh.
Like, we're all gonna straight up die. And I would prefer that not happen.
I will say, the Pit Fiend and seems casual. You can't
Casual.
tell what
He's wearing
gender
jeans.
it is, but it does have. You would say that its demeanor is feminine. It is a large devil, looks exactly like the mini, and it possesses about a maybe a
Did you charge
4
it?
foot by the head mace, and a large scorpion-like tail.
I'm gonna have a minute.
The devils look ready for action. The Erins around the group. They are male and female. I would say the majority female, but there are males among them. They are wielding swords and shields, and they have the silver whips that you remember seeing from last time as well. And the white devil in the center is standing rather, I would say his demeanor is similar to a disappointed father, standing in the doorway to your room when you know that you have done wrong. There is an annoyance in his stance, and his eyes, golden and cat-like, are going to look towards Juniper and Zarafen as they flutter down from the temple. Yuffie, I need a reaction.
Yuffie is going to turn and look at Jania and Bali and say, all right, I'm going down to join them. Shall we?
Jania seems to know something. She goes, Captain, that's a white devil, she says. Prongor also looks absolutely horrified. You have never seen Prongor so scared in his whole life. Prongor was already a naturally superstitious man, and you believe of all the members of the party who would know, he probably would know decently well what you are looking at.
Jania, she says.
Zarafen is going to suddenly begin to look around rather frantically. He seems to be considering options. those of you who meet his eyes are going to have the fear of God put into you. I warned you. The voice echoes across the field. It sounds pleasant to the ear. A low, strong voice.
She knows that anything she says is just going to sound like excuses, and she's not going to throw Isaac under the bus, even though she really wants to right now.
You probably should.
She goes, "It was never our intention to involve you in this."
You did what you always do. You meddled.
How was I to know you were dealing with the Guardians?
It's like a mental tick with you. You just can't stay away. No matter how many eons pass, and how much for all your efforts remains unchanged. I don't know where you got it. I didn't build that sort of insanity into you.
Maybe I take after you more than you think. You seem to meddle in a lot of things.
Or perhaps the live birth process was a mistake. He turns to Zarafan. Or did you sneak that lesson into the program? Was it your quiet smiles together when you thought I wasn't looking? How long after the great dying did it take for you and her to find solace in each other? Her endless grief, and you with what? A failed experiment. Lost potential. What did you see in your child, Zarfen, that made you take her to bed? Zarfen, you've not seen him blush before, but you see a great rage and anger. begin to
There
build
is
in him.
fury on June's face as well.
Do you say anything?
He was never my parent. You betrayed that trust. Father?
I'm not your father.
No, thank God you're not. Thank fates you're not.
Your father died a very long time ago because
Yes.
somebody couldn't keep their explorative spirit collected as the rest of her society did. And today, here, again, your explorative spirit gets the better of you. Or am I wrong?
You are wrong.
Then tell me, what is the truth?
The real truth is that you betrayed us.
The real truth is that there is nothing left to betray.
There's just a deep, deep anger and a little bit of sadness, but most of it's just anger in her.
You wallow in a pool made for children. I think perhaps you are not old enough yet to see. Give her to me, and I will let the rest of you go.
Isaac's going to walk up behind you, June, and he's going to say, "Is this about what I did inside that temple?"
Don't worry about it, Isaac. You won't be enough for him. Step back.
What happened has nothing to do with you. It was completely me.
It doesn't matter.
Is he really so petty as to ignore that? Is he just looking for excuses to get to you?
I don't know. But I'm not going to put you in his firing sights.
You have 10 seconds. I'm tired of your quiet plannings.
Isaac walks out in front of the group. He pulls back his hood and says,
It was the godmother! Prongor says, rushing in front of you.
Isaac is going to take his staff and smack Prongor in the face. Full force. And
As you hit Prongor across the face, he is going to fall, collapsed into a heap.
And then Isaac's going to turn and coolly say, "I'm the one who sent that thing to your doorstep. Not her." She just happens to be with me.
You'll see an impatient drawl of breath. Don't lie to me. If I believe for a moment that someone else could control a guardian, much less throw it through space into my domain, if I believe that Isaac the Crow had enough power to control that, you would have been dead in the crib.
Isaac's gonna use thaumaturgy, and like his cloak is gonna fly off, and then he's gonna like unbutton his shirt and show the gem in his chest.
Oh God, she's like, no, you're gonna die, and she's just like, ugh.
At your challenge, he's going to say, I went easy on you. Both of you. I should have ended you when you hunted those dark nests all those years ago. But I admired your effort and your resilience. But I suppose we all live to regret our greatest triumphs. To battle, then. And we will end there.
I tried.